It looks like we might have ourselves some good old-fashioned perjury on our hands. Barr was on CBS News on Face the Nation calling them out for their fake news and for their lies. And then, do we have our first big arrest coming? Is the first big name finally coming? I've heard some things, there's some chatter, and there's some things that in my mind kind of lead up to what may be. I'm not going to say it is yet, but I think we might have a first big arrest coming. I can see this playing out. Stick with me. This show's a little bit loaded, but hang in till the end. I think you're going to be glad you did. Guys, I'm Jared. This is RedRacer Video. I am a car guy turned late breaking news, world news, political news guy. I want to leave the world a better place for my kids. I just do. And the things that are happening in our world are important. I do believe we are in historical and biblical times. This is my contribution. We have got to we have got to awaken people. This is the Great Awakening, and I am doing my part to help with that. So, really quickly, guys, YouTube stuff. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe if you have not already. Make sure you hit the bell next subscribe and hit all. That way you'll get notifications. P.S. Check back periodically. Make sure you still subscribe. I know YouTube unsubscribes people. I know because you guys have told me. Or somehow they magically get unsubscribed. Maybe it's not YouTube. But check back periodically. By the way of sponsorships, guys, we got to do our advertising thing. Our sponsor for today's video is still you guys. Your donations, your pledges through Patreon, your small monthly pledges through Patreon, link in the description, and your donations through PayPal and Venmo, link in the description, are what keep this video going at this point. 100%. It is because of you guys that I can keep going. I am not working, and this is all I'm doing. It takes every waking moment of my day, and I do not sleep a lot to stay up on top of this stuff. And real quickly also, I have sources. Look in my description. X22 Report, Dan Bongino. There's some other series in there. There's so much information, and it's so hard to stay on top of everything. But thank you to everybody in the sources down below that have helped me have the information I need. And thank you to all of you guys who have supported, donated, pledged. Link in description. Thanks. Let's do it. All right, guys, here we go. This is where I want to go with this. It's Sunday, and I don't want to be crazy long. I always say that, and then I end up long. So hopefully I didn't just curse myself. But I want to go be with the family toward the end of the night, but it's getting late. I want to bring some stuff to you guys, though. I think there's been some really big revelations over the last couple days. These things that I'm going to bring to you aren't things that happened in the last day or two. Well, some of it is, but a lot of it is stuff that's kind of transpired over the past couple, 2-3 days, maybe even 4 days. But we're starting to see stuff. You know, it's always that 24 to 48 hour rule that Dan Bongino, link in the description, talks about. As stuff processes and as people start to put stuff together, the digital soldiers like myself and like a bunch of you out there start piecing things together, bouncing ideas off each other. There's a little bit of chatter. We do some DMs. We know each other's feeds. Next thing you know, we figured some stuff out. So that's what I'm going to get into. That's what we've got. On the protests and riots, I've made some observations there, as have many of you. Personally, I think they're fizzling down. I'm not saying I don't think that there's still going to be another demonstration or two that gets wild, but I think that I almost feel like maybe it's kind of played itself out like the virus thing has. Again, it's not gone, just like the virus is not gone yet, but there's some big chess moves that were made over the last little bit that I think we need to cover, and in 2 parts of this video we'll cover it, but we saw how much they don't fear the flu, or the false flag flu, I like to call it. I'm not going to call it the other name because these videos get flagged and then they get demonetized. Next thing you know, maybe they disappear, who knows. But the false flag flu, nobody's afraid of it anymore. I've been out in public. I've seen it. There's still some people with masks on, don't get me wrong. But I think we've all seen a drastic decline in the amount of people who are really terrified of this thing, right? So during the riots, everybody that's been saying, don't leave your house, we have to vote by mail, they quite literally verbatim, I'm quoting them, have said, don't leave your house unless it's to protest. They've said that. Are you not even kidding me? They've said that. I'm not making that up. Go look. Just look. As I always say, do your own research. They're already using this for the next phase of the comeback. I talked about this a little bit in yesterday's video. That'll roll at the bottom. So, you know, at the end of this video, go click on that if you missed yesterday's video. But they're already using this to springboard back into more virus push, right? The false flag flu is going to have its comeback because everybody's been together. Now they're pushing all those people who have protested, hey, please go get tested now. because now they want to see a spike in numbers to make everybody scared again, even though we know that therapeutics and vaccines and everything like that are already well underway. And the drug that we cannot talk about on this channel for fear of going away, we already know that that fixes it. I don't care what anybody says. I got a good friend out there that also is like, yeah, these tests aren't, I love you, buddy, but no, this is not a concern anymore. Unless you're like literally you have emphysema, or you're already really sick with pneumonia, or you have major heart issues, or you're, real old, or you're in a nursing home in a democratic state that's trying to artificially inflate the numbers by killing old people, or whatever. If you're not one of those people, this is not something you have to fear, but they're going to now push the fear by saying that we've got a huge spike in numbers. Watch. Moving on. The first big arrest, for those of you who don't follow qmap.pub, link in the description. As I always say, I get a lot of people that say, hey, will you leave me links? They're always in the description. And if it's not in the description and you ask me for it in the comments, you're probably not going to hear from me. Really quick, circle back. I can't be on my comments anymore, guys. This channel has gotten big enough, and I'm blessed to say that. Between this and Instagram and Parler, P-A-R-L-E-R, leave Instagram, or sorry, don't leave Instagram. Instagram I'm still cool with. Leave Twitter, leave Facebook, go to Parler, P-A-R-L-E-R. Between all these different places, I cannot keep up. And to this point, we've got 62, I think, patrons on Patreon. Again, link in the description. People that pay us monthly to continue to do this. I owe it to those people to spend my time getting back to their messages and their requests, and if they're giving me information and things like that. And I hope you guys understand. I'm not ignoring my comments from now on, but it's going to be a little bit tougher. Having said all of that, a lot of the chatter that I have gotten and that you have seen, and probably a lot of people have seen about George Floyd, again, going back to my old video, go watch yesterday's video at the end of this if you haven't. We talked about this in a couple of videos now, maybe 3-4 videos now, because George Floyd's name's still everywhere. There's a large number of people that are starting to believe, and I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to get lumped in with them soon. This whole thing looks weird. This whole thing looks like it was staged. I watched that video. George Floyd looks like a big strapped dude. He's very, his facial characteristics are defining, muscly figure, like square kind of, jaw. I'm very not that way, but I'm very comfortable in saying he looks to be like a handsome, buff dude. The guy in the video that gets choked out by the actor cop. Again, link in the description, or not link in the description. Comment if down below if you want to flame me and say that I'm wrong, but man, I got sidetracked, sorry. It looks like it could be staged, right? So let's go down that rabbit hole just for a quick second here. What if it was staged, right? They had a funeral for this guy. They're having riots, staging protests, and then using it to spark riots. Antifa, Black Lives Matter, all these people, terrorist groups, quite literally burning cities to the ground, all in the name of George Floyd. Just for a second, explore with me. What if George Floyd was not dead? What if George Floyd was the first big arrest? What if he was the first big arrest that shocked the world? What if that was the first arrest? The first name that everybody in the world was going to see and be like, oh, could be. Not saying it is, but I am saying that the whole thing doesn't look right to me. All the footage doesn't add up. The guy they arrested for killing him and then the officer I saw in the video don't look the same. I mean, there's just a lot. You guys have seen it. At RedRacer Video on Instagram, at RedRacer Video on Parler, P-A-R-L-E-R. If you haven't seen it, go follow me there. It's all over the place, guys. It all doesn't add up. Could that be the case? Okay, Barr. I love this part. Barr was on Face the Nation on CBS. I don't know the name of the reporter. It was a gal. Honestly, I don't even want to say her name because I don't want to give her credit. It's so pathetic how obvious the narrative that they try to push is on every single one of these news networks, the 90% of them anyway. And Fox News is starting to join them, but we still got some guys in there that I love, and you guys know who you are. They basically started by saying, and they backed themselves into a corner right at the beginning. She said that the president demanded 10,000 troops on the streets of American cities. And then she said, you guys are calling into question basically like our accuracy of the reporting of that. And they always say they have a source, right? Whenever they say they have a source, that means there's a snitch or they just made it up, right? In this case, I think they just made it up to scare everybody and make everybody think, oh, Trump the dictator, because they're trying to make President Trump be this big dictator when they themselves, the Democratic governors and mayors, have actually been the ones doing all the dictating, right? But so she says that to him. And then I want to look at my notes here because I don't want to mess this up because I'm going to quote some stuff. She quite literally said, deployed into American streets. So she was clear about what she said. There was no room for misconstruing what she said. She was very clear. She said that to Barr. She was interviewing him. If you guys haven't seen it, again, at RedRacer video on Instagram, I posted it in my IGTV. Go watch it. What Barr said was this. He said, that is false. No, sorry. He said, that is completely false. That is completely false. He said it twice. He didn't say it once, he said it twice. And then he very clearly stated that they did not demand them into duty. They did not call them to active duty. He said that, again, I'm quoting, so I'm looking at my notes here, some 82nd Airborne were brought into the area, but not even into D.C. So not only did they not call American troops into the cities, or they didn't call anyone to active duty, they brought a bunch of troops into standby, but none of them even went into D.C. So again, fake news, called their bluff on TV on her own show, made it very clear, whoa, sorry about that, it almost knocked everything over, made it very clear that they were full of crap. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. So then they go on and she tries to circle back and like re-ask the question in a different way that maybe trips him up a little, right? And makes it sound like they didn't completely just lie to everybody, because that's what they did, right? So she goes back and asks the question in a different way and says, well, so we didn't actually, what she was basically, I didn't quote her because she's a dumb, I'm sorry. I didn't quote her because she's foolish. She was acting foolish. I'm being careful about my words. No more name calling. Jared's going positive vibe. She was being very foolish and saying, circling back and trying to rewrite the question, right? So Barr again tells her, not only did you guys misquote the way things happened, I also think it's important to note that Sunday, the day before the day that you guys misquoted us after our meeting Monday morning in the Oval Office or wherever they were in the meeting room, he said it's also important to note that the day before it was reported by numerous people that was the most violent day in DC history in 30 years. So CBS ignored the fact that DC saw the most violent day in 30 years, and that was why Barr and I think the Secretary of Defense and the President of the United States and all these people were meeting, and that was why they decided to put people on standby, not on active duty, and didn't even bring them into DC, but that was why they had a meeting to discuss, what do we do if? What if? Obviously it was discussed, but he went on to say that was last resort. Everybody in that room was on the same page about that being last resort. Yeah, obviously it was discussed, but it was last resort. He owned her on her show. Again, at RedRacer video on Instagram. Go look at my story. Go look at my feed. That was beautiful. Beautifully done. At the end of it, at least at the end of this clip, I didn't go watch the whole interview. This has been busy. I'm having a hard time keeping up. And I have my sources that I love. I stick with them, and I just trust that I'm getting good stuff from them. So I hope you guys trust the same. But I watched the parts of this that I felt like I needed to see. And at the end of it, she asked, does the president have the authority to override governors and bring military in if they say no? So she's basically saying the president doesn't have the authority and these governors think he's wrong. That's what was being planted, right? That was the narrative was being pushed. So he then tells her, he reminds her that the Confederacy, and this is going back to the Civil War, the Confederates, and, do your research. But he said to her, the Confederacy didn't want them to use the troops against rioters either. And then I can't remember, I didn't quote this part, but he went on to basically say, sometimes the governors don't agree with the federal government, and the federal government does what they want. Meaning, you're right. Maybe the governors don't like it, but they lost the ability to say no to that when they lost that war. That was essentially what he was saying. And he was laughing at the end of it, which was, again, beautifully done. He was amazing. He was amazing. 15. Okay, I'm going to go fast. I only have a couple more points to make. I don't want to keep you guys here late. Like I said, it's Sunday night. The President of the United States and the administration, in my opinion, outfox the news with all of this. They leave things, they make power moves. They do things that appear like these big acts of aggression, right? Like they have these snipers carrying all their luggage and rifles up into a big, tall building in D.C. So they do these things to do the same thing that the media is doing. They do it against them, but they create optics, right? They make them think, oh man, he's going to bring in the military. So the media goes out and starts tripping over themselves to say Trump the dictator or President Trump the dictator is bringing in the military and blah, blah, blah. He never did it. So he turned them into liars. So again, guys, when you see him say stuff on TV, you're like, oh, this is wild. He's going to make the National Guard come and force us to get vaccines. No, he's not. That's not what he said. He said something else, and the media turned and whatever they could make you fear or hate in him, that's what they turned around and said to make you think that. They're playing you, but he's outfoxing them at every turn, and it is beautiful to watch once you see it. X-22 Report Q, they've all talked about this. Once people's eyes are open, once people are awake, you can't put them back to sleep. I'm awake, and this is beautiful to watch. I know I've said that in this video a lot, but it is. It is just amazing. Right now, I feel like the White House is fortified. I don't know if you guys saw, a lot of what happened was just them fortifying everything. They let some things happen, unfortunately. Yeah, there were some disgusting things that happened in D.C. over the weekend. But like Q has said many, many times, and like a lot of the people that understand this, we can't tell people anymore. I have been barking on Facebook for years. Nobody listened. I've been online doing this stuff, not on YouTube. This is my last stance. I finally grew a pair and decided to say it on here. But for a long time, I've been saying it elsewhere. And people just won't listen. You cannot tell people. You have to show them. And unfortunately, we had to burn, and I don't say we, I mean we, the American people, the bad ones, had to see, or not the bad ones, the good ones. We, the American people, sorry. We had to see what they're capable of, what they're willing to do. The absolute tyranny that they will display. Just the horrible things they're capable of. It's all on display for all of us to see right now. Please understand that. Some things to watch this week. In my opinion, obviously all this stuff's not going away. I think we're going to see the resurgence of the false flag flu. They're already pushing that. This is the springboard, right? The rioters and looters, they were all close space, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's how they're going to push it. I'm not scared of any of it at all. I'm just not. I have faith in everything that's happening, and they're exposing themselves. And with every passing day, more people see what they're doing and wake up. But keep track of the Rosenstein thing. Rod Rosenstein perjured himself. Roger Stone thinks so. Devin Nunes was a little more careful about it when he was interviewed. He kind of tiptoed around the tulips. But if you go and compare some things, again, do your own research. Links in the description. If you need the minutia, Rod Rosenstein has said some conflicting things now under oath. And if the world was fair, he'd be in jail right now. Just like Roger Stone was in jail for perjuring himself. But what Roger Stone perjured himself for, supposedly, wasn't anything to do with anything. And it shouldn't have even mattered anyway. So, my dog's barking. That lets me know it's time for me to go. I'm at the end of my notes anyway, guys. It's Sunday. Go be with your families. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm going 30 for 30. I'll be here every day in the month of June. So thank you to everybody that supported me. Again, if you can support, if you think this video was valuable, link in the description. Help support this channel. Help keep this going. Thank you to everybody that is. There's a lot of you, and I love you so much. It is so inspiring. Be calm and be strong, everybody. Everything's going to be fine. I am the optimistic guy. I get it, but I'm optimistic for a reason. I love y'all. See you through the rest of the week. RedRacer video. I'll catch you on the next one.